Definitely as you get out east in Quebec, motorcycles or similar are definitely more popular. But they love their motorcycles. Especially these Can-Am Spiders. They're everywhere in Quebec. Quebecers love Can-Ams. And that's a big, wild-looking machine. I don't think it's a Gull Wing. It's maybe a Victory or something like that. Pretty huge. I'm going past that, too. Stopping to look at the view. This is on the way. We should be getting close to the St. Lawrence now. The only thing about stopping the bike here, turning it off, is I wonder if it's going to start again. Not that I've had a problem, but you always have that fear. We're good. Oh, what did we? Got a long time. See the Laurentians in the distance now. Looks like we're getting close to the Saint Laurent. Yes, there's it is. Vive le Saint Laurent. Okay, turn right in 1.9 kilometers. You will be going along the Saint Laurent. I want to stay on 132, whether the GPS says to or not. I want to follow the Saint Laurent. It's a fancy new Corvette up front, going 60 in a 70 zone. And that just pisses me off. It's like, okay, buy a Prius if you want to drive like that. You don't buy a fancy ass Corvette and go 60 all the way along in a 70 zone. So you're going to see BMW versus fancy Corvette. Oh yeah, there we go. Wouldn't want to be ya. BMW rules over the vet. It's day 4. Looks like we might get some rain. The air's a lot cooler. We're heading off along the larger section of St. Lawrence. I have a shorter run today. It's only about 350 clicks, although we're not 100% sure if my room is reserved, because the man I reserved with didn't know a word of English and I don't know a word of French, so we had a lot of problems trying to figure it out. But I think I have a room reserved. So I want to talk about some differences between the Quebec Tim Hortons and the Ontario Tim Hortons. Now, the Quebec Tim Hortons do not have steep tea. If you ask for steep tea, they get all confused and end up giving you coffee. So they do not have steep tea. However, the Ontario Tim Hortons rarely provide places to sit outside. So on this trip, I brought a little folding lawn chair, which actually fits neatly under the seat, but it does take up a bit of valuable cargo space doing it, but I took it because I thought I was going to need a chair at various points as I stop along the trip. I have not needed the chair, not even once. On this trip. There's every rest stop has provided seating. Every Tim Hortons has provided outdoor seating, places to sit, and there's just been absolutely no need for this chair. So another observation about being in this part of the country is definitely a myth dispelled. Everybody tells me, oh, don't worry, they all know how to speak English too. Just talk English, you'll be fine. And when you get out here, I would say that maybe some of them know English, but most do not. And I'm talking about just, you know, your average locals, the ones that work in the stores and the gas bars and the Tim Hortons and places like that, the motels, they run the motels. And these folks speak little to no English at all. They know about as much English as I know French. So it's been difficult. That is a myth that they all know English. They do not. So you need to bring a translator or something like that. And even so, I've tried using my Google app translator, and it hasn't been very effective when you're standing at a counter trying to order a coffee and there's a lineup behind you or something like that, or even trying to talk to somebody at a where you usually when I need to talk to somebody is I'm standing in line. So we don't have time to sit down and play with the translator. And even when I do, they can barely understand it, much less what I'm saying. So I'm learning how to say things on the translator. I'm trying to learn how to say, you know, do you have this? Can I have that? Where is this? Where is that? And I say it properly. I say it exactly the way that it's pronounced on the translator, and I'll say it to them, and they just look at me like I'm talking Chinese, like they can't understand a word I'm saying. And I don't understand why. So there must be a very strong dialect here or something like that. And so maybe to them, in comparison, maybe I sound sort of like an old Scotsman. You know, and he's speaking English, but he's speaking with such a strong dialect, they don't know what he's saying. And I think that's what's going on with this trying to talk French thing, is all they're hearing is even though I'm saying it exactly to the translator. So whatever their dialect is, I'm going to have to figure it out. Well, I'm trying to find interesting places to stop. This is just an interesting pier that looks out, goes out and has a look at the St. Lawrence. So we're going to go and have a look at the Great Ocean. Buildings are just never torn down. They're just, that's it, man. So, one of the questions I ask myself, now that I'm over 1,500 kilometers from home or more, and still going and not turning back, do I feel free and wild? And I wondered if I would. But I would have to say, not really. And I think the reason is even though you're way far away from home and you know, all you've got is you and the road and the bike, there's still an agenda to keep to some degree. You know, you still have to get somewhere by a certain time. You know you're going to have to turn back at a certain point. You're going to have to head back home. You know that there's family and affairs at home to take care of. Your business, your work, all that sort of thing. So with that all in the back of your mind, am I truly free and wild? Probably not. I don't think any of us ever really can be free.